Good evening. We are live from the Underground Railroad with an exclusive interview with Mrs. Harriet Tubman. Mrs. Tubman, how are you today?
I'm fine, honey, but you can call me Harry.
Do you mind if I stick with Mrs. Tubman right now?
Go ahead, sweetheart.
Mrs. Tubman, can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in Dosha County, Maryland in 1820. At least that's what my mama told me. You see, slaves don't have real birth certificates.
And can you tell us about your father and your mother?
Well, my mother was owned by Mary Bordeaux, and my father was owned by Anthony Thompson, and his name was Ben Ross. Now, you see, Miss Mary and Mr. Anthony got married, so did my parents.
And do you have any other siblings, brothers or sisters?
I was one of 9 children.
And where were you? Were you the youngest or oldest?
I was the youngest child.
Oh. And what about your education, Mrs. Tubman?
I ain't got none except for what my mama taught me.
Do you know how to read?
I didn't start to read till I got to the north.
Okay. Mrs. Tubman, I noticed there's a big scar on your forehead. Can you tell me how that happened?
Well, when I was a teenager, young adolescent, I was sent to the store by my master to get some dry supplies. Now, I saw a slave who had left her plantation without permission. And when her overseer told me to hold her down so he could hurt her, I just couldn't find it in myself to do it. So when I said no, he threw a 2-pound rock. Weight, it was hard and heavy at my head. And ever since then, I had seizures and deep dreams.
And did they arrest the man that did this to you?
Of course not. I was a black woman and he was a white man. He was far more superior to me.
Mrs. Tubman, there are a lot of things the viewers are dying to know. Like, what made you want to do this? What finally got you to want to escape?
Well, I just get tired of feeling inferior to everyone else. We're all equal in God's eyes. Did you know I'm a Methodist? Yes, Lord Jesus. And so I got sick of it, and I decided to move on up to Philadelphia. I escaped in 1849. When I finally got to Philadelphia, when I found that I had crossed that line of freedom, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven.
So what you're saying is you actually escaped by yourself and you left family members and friends back in Maryland?
Well, my husband, John Tubman, my name, I married him in 1884. But he didn't want to come with me when I came up the second time. The second time I left, I brought some of my family members and friends.
Would that be your mother, father, maybe some of your siblings?
Well, when I first left, I brought 2 of my brothers, but they wanted to go back because they're afraid to get caught.
But weren't they free?
No, ma'am.
But once you get to Philadelphia, were you not free?
Yes, they were free, but when we got there, they were scared for their lives that their masters would come back and get them, so they wanted to go back.
Mrs. Tubman, looking around in this railroad, I noticed some different screenshots and pictures that you have. One of a baby that says alligator bait. Can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Well, now, they used to use little Negro babies and feed them as alligators, the white men in Mississippi, Alabama.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes, it is.
So how do some of your friends and family, they're still in Maryland?
No, sweetheart. I went back to go get them. I didn't just stay in Philadelphia. No. I wasn't going to let my people stay in bondage. You know, they call me Moses.
They call you Moses, like Moses from the Bible?
Yeah, Moses freed the Jews from Egypt, and I freed my slaves, the black ones, from the South.
What did you do when the Fugitive Slave Law was passed in 1850?
Well, I had to reroute the entire Underground Railroad by myself and some other constituents. And, well, I had to rewrite it to Canada, because Canada did not believe in slavery.
Do you recall the Combahee River Road?
Ah, yes. I was the first woman, Negro woman too, to lead an armed expedition in the army. I liberated more than 700 slaves from South Carolina.
You helped free more than 700 slaves?
Yes, not just them, my family. The first people, when I came back the second time to Maryland, first people I took was my niece Keisha and her 2 kids. Brought back my family, my parents, and 60 other slaves I had known.
Were you guys ever nervous about getting caught?
Not me myself, because I have truly faith in God. Methodist woman, as you know. Some of the other slaves, though, they had dreams and they were worried. They would cry in their sleep. You could hear some of them in the back.
Were you ever betrayed by anybody?
My husband, when I left and I came back to get him, he had remarried some other woman. He didn't want to come with me.
But did anyone ever tell their masters about the Underground Railroad?
Yes, some people did. That's why we have passwords. Like, don't talk to a white person unless they refer to you as a package. Then you would know that they're a part of the Underground Railroad and they're there to help you.
So you had white people help you guys during the Underground Railroad?
Of course. Not all apples are bad, you know.
Was that in Maryland all the way up north?
Yes, you found a few in the South. They're a secret about it, of course. They didn't want anyone to find out. But yes, there's some in the South and a lot more in the North.
How many days or how long did it take you to get to the North?
It was a 90-mile journey from Maryland to Philadelphia and a little bit longer to Canada. We had to go through the state of New York.
And what would you guys do about food and clothes? And just weren't you hungry? Weren't you cold? What about the children?
When I was helping my slave friends to get to the free land, we would stop at different houses in the Underground Railroad. Did you know it's not actually a railroad? It's different houses on your journey to the freedom. And those people, the white people, some free slaves too, they would give us food, blankets, let us sleep over, and then we continue our journey till we reach another house at night.
I know you didn't do this your whole life, so did you ever remarry? Did you ever have children? How did you spend your later days?
Well, I did remarry. I remarried to Nelson Davis, and we adopted a daughter.
And was he a free man?
Yes, he was.
So you met him up north, I am assuming.
Yes, and I met him in New York, in Auburn, New York, when a senator gave me land, and that's where I spent my days with my family, my daughter, and my husband, Nelson.
Well, this has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much, Mrs. Harriet. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you.
And thank you for risking your life.
I'm touched.